Salvete omnes. Hello everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining me in my continuing coverage of Caesar's Gallic Wars. It's been a little bit of time, but ready to start up again. We're picking up in Book 5 now. Caesar has done his duty in Britain. I'll say his duty. He's accomplished what he wanted to in Britain. He's proved his point. We're going back to Gaul, and we're going to have the men retire for the winter. We don't typically have warfare during the winter. Just the weather's not conducive for it, right? So we need to kind of set up our winter camps, and that is going to lead to some excitement for the rest of Book 5. So let's dive right in. So we're picking up in section 24 of Book 5, Subductis Navibus, concilioque gallorum samaro brui peracto, quod eo anno frumentum in Gallia propter sicitates angustias provenerat, quatus est aliter superioribus annis, exercitum in hibernis collocare, legionesque in plures civitates distribuera. Yes, third conjugation. We start off with Ablative Absolutes. Subductis Navibus. With the ships drawn up, we get another Ablative Absolute here. And with the Council of the Gauls, Concilio Gallorum, genitive Gallorum there. With the Council of the Gauls at Samarobriva. This is a locative. Cities, towns, and small islands will use the locative mood or locative case to show where something is happening. So this is where the Council of the Gauls was held. So the ships drawn up, so kind of like beached for the winter, dry docked, and with the Council of the Gauls at Samarobriva finished. Because in that year, ablative of time when, because in that year, the grain in Gaul had come forth more narrowly, or rather narrowly, because of droughts. So because there's less grain that year. He is forced... Caesar in this case, he is forced infinitives. He is forced to locate the army in winter camps and to distribute the legions among several states, regions, aliter ac superioribus annis, differently than previous years. Aliter ac, just meaning differently than, being used here with superioribus annis. So normally he has a specific type of winter camps for the soldiers. Has to do it differently this year because of droughts. So we get this kind of long description, should be a long description of how everything is going to be arranged. From which, referring to the legions, out of them, one of the legions, I guess I should do the Latin. Ex quibus unam in Morinos ducendam, Gaio Fabio legato dedit, alteram in Nervios quinto Ciceroni, tertiam in Asubios Lucio Roscio, quartam in Remis cum Tito Labieno in confinio treverorum hiemare usit. So, we get this divided up into technically 4 sections. The first 3 are all going to more or less follow the same pattern. I'll point out that. And then you get the 4th one kind of changing the grammatical structure, but ultimately all doing the same thing. So, this is our base structure for the first 3 groups. Out of the legions, he gave one of the legions to the legate Gaius Fabius, dative, as the indirect object of dated. He gave it to be led, I would say this is ducendam esse, or now I'm going to say ducendam esse, you would just say ducendam. He gave it to be led into the Morini. So 1 legion, and this is the gerundive, right? Showing necessity, or in this case, perhaps purpose. So he gave 1 legion to be led into the Morini. Another, and then we could repeat ex quibus if you wanted, another of these legions he gave to Quintus Cicero to be led in Nervios. So we're repeating unam, or we're changing unam, we're changing in Morinos, and we're changing the name. But ex quibus and ducendam and dedit are being repeated from one section to another. So he gives 1 to Gaius Fabius the Legate to be led among the Morini, another to Quintus Cicero to be led into the Nervii, a third to Lucius Roscius to be led into the Asubii. So those are all following the same pattern. You could repeat ex quibus if you wanted. You definitely want to repeat or understand that ducendam and dedit is understood in all those 3. And then, because Caesar follows the rules of 3, we're going to have a 4th group here, and we're not going to follow the same pattern. He's going to change up the grammatical structure as a good orator would do. So, he ordered, Usit, he ordered a 4th legion to winter, to spend the winter, among the Remi, with Titus Labienus, in the confines or in the borders of the Treveri. So lots of prepositional phrases. You can put them in any order you want. Basically, he ordered a 4th legion to winter with this person in this area in these borders. Pick the order that you want and you should be fine. So, again, we're starting to allot, and really section 24 is just the allotment of these different legions. Tres in Belgis collocavit, eis Marcum crassum quaestorem, et Lucium unatium plancum, et Gaium Trebonium legatos praefecit. So he continues to allocate these sources. He allocated, if you want, 3 legions among the Belgians. Praefecit takes an accusative and a dative. He put a whole bunch of accusatives, basically all of this, he put these things in charge of the dative eis. So he put Marcus Crassus, a quaestor, and Lucius Munatius Plancus, and Gaius Trebonius, the legates. So Marcus Crassus is a quaestor, Lucius and Gaius are legates. He put all of these people in charge of them, that is, those 3 legions in the Belgians. Unam legionem, quam proxime transpadum conscripserat, et cohortes quinque in Eburones, quorum pars maxima est inter mosam ac renum, qui sub imperio ambiorgis et catavulci erant, misit. 1 legion, and notice it is accusative. I'm going to start with unam legionem, but eventually I will make it the object of my sentence. 1 legion, which he had conscripted most, closest across the Padus River, or the Po River, modern day Po River. So the legion which he had raised, conscripted, hired, drafted, most closely across the Po, and 5 cohorts. That legion he sent in Eburones. He sent into or among the Eburones. The greatest part of which, pars maxima quorum, the greatest part of which is between the Mosa and the Rhine rivers. And the Eburones, who were under the control or under the power of Ambiorix and Catuvolcus. So, he sent the legion, which he had hired most recently across the Po. He sent that legion and 5 cohorts into the Eburones, which is for the most part between Mosa and the Rhine, and which is under the control of Ambiorix and Catavolcus. And this one is going to be the one we're going to focus on the most, starting in later in the 20s. Eis militibus quintum titurium Sabinum et Lucium Arunculeum Catam legatos praese usit. Datives here with praese. He ordered these accusatives. He ordered the legates, Quintus Titurius Sabinus and Lucius Arunculeius Cata. He ordered them to be in charge of these soldiers. So date praese takes the dative here, to be in charge of, or to be the leader for these soldiers. I guess it's important to note he refers to them as these soldiers because it's not a legion, right? Other legions he has taken care of. He sent 1 legion to the Morini, etc., etc. But this is a legion and 5 cohorts, so it's like 5, or it's like 1.5 legions, and so you wouldn't refer to them as legions, you would refer to them as soldiers. Also a little bit of variatio, a little bit of variation to avoid constantly just repeating legion, legion, legion. Ad hunc modum distributis legionibus, facilime inopiae frumentariae sese medere posse existi mavit. He estimated, he believed, he thought that that he was able to remedy, could perhaps be translated from medere, that he could remedy, that he could lighten, perhaps, that he could ease the inopulence, the lack of, really the grain poverty is kind of what's going on here. The poverty, the grain-like poverty. So I'm doing it literally. He thought that he was able to kind of ease the poverty of grain most easily, ablative absolute, with the legions distributed in this manner, in this way, to this method. So normally he might centrally locate all of them. In this case, he's spreading them out a lot more than he might normally do, but he figures that's the easiest way to take care of this, because it's got a lot of soldiers and not a lot of grain to go around, at least not centrally located. It's just simple spreading them out. Atqua harum tamen omnium legionem iberna praeter eam, quam Lucio Roscio in pacatissimam et quietissimam partem ducendam dederat, milibus possum centum continebantur. A lot of short sentences in 24. Very nice. Got to appreciate that. All right. And, however, atqua tamen, the winter... How do I want to do this? I'll start with the winter camps. The winter camps of all of these legions, harum omnium legionem, genitive plurals. The winter camps of all of these legions, except the one which he had given to Lucius Roscius to be led into a very pacified and very quiet region, part. The winter camps of all of these legions, except for this one, were contained within 100 miles. So they're all within a few days' march of each other. So if there's an issue at one camp, you'll be able to... another legion would be able to go and help. But Lucius Roscius, perhaps a little bit farther out, he's not within this kind of 100 miles of another camp because he's in a much more peaceful area. The other legions, all right, the ones that goes to Fabius and Cicero and Labienus and whatnot, those are a bit rowdier areas, so they need to be able to kind of help each other as necessary. But Lucius Roscus, he can chill in his region. Ipse interea, quod legiones collocatas munitaque Berna cognoscet, in Gallia morari constituit. He himself, in the meantime, decided to delay in Gaul, or to wait around in Gaul, until, is the easiest way to translate quod. Basically, it's like, to which point, to the point, or until he knew that the legions had been placed and the winter camps had been fortified. Technically indirect statement, you could put essa after collocatus and essa after munita, both participles. Nice little chiastic pattern here. A, B, B, A. Sort of structure. You get a noun, then an adjective, then an adjective, and a noun. Just a nice little balancing act. I don't know that it really adds anything to the sentence, but it's nice. Normally he would go back to Italy. Go back to his province, but he's going to hang out in the area until he knows that the legions are taken care of. And then you're on your own. I'll see y'all in March. All right. And I'm going to stop this video there. I'm going to do 24 on its own. Next video, we'll take a look at 25 and 26 as action starts to pick up for these camps. So, thank you for joining me today. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, send me an email, or hit me up in class. And I will see you next time. Have a good one. Later.